Now, Arsenal is one of those teams that has gone ahead to obviously beat most of the teams in London. And tomorrow there is another London derby, Arsenal taking on a team known as Crystal Palace. That game is going to be played at the Emirates, and we are hugely waiting to see what your thoughts are going to be about this. But for me here onto the Rokani Media Football, I've already arrived with my thoughts about this beautiful game of football that is going to be played at what we call the Emirates Stadium. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And Rokan David is my name. And please continue to subscribe to this channel to see to it that all really goes on well as planned. Now, Arsenal comes into this game of football when they are leading the table of the Premier League, and they are having 19 points. Crystal Palace is 8th, and they're having 13 points in there for you. So that is the side of Crystal Palace. Arsenal have gone ahead to score 15 goals, and Crystal Palace have gone ahead to obviously score 12 goals in the Premier League season in there for you. The last Premier League game that Arsenal played, they beat Fulham away by 1-0, another London derby, and for AFC Bournemouth, they drew with, as for Crystal Palace, they drew with Bournemouth by 3-3. It was a draw, 3-3 draw. That is it. Then in the midweek, Arsenal came in through and we played Atletico Madrid, and they really played on Tuesday, and they beat Atletico Madrid 4-0. That is it. You understand? So Arsenal went ahead to win that game of football. A brace from Viktor Gyokeres, who had taken very many minutes or games without scoring a goal, and Gabriel Martinelli plus Gabriel Magalhaes. We are all on target. Now, for the side of Crystal Palace, they lost to AEK Larnaca in what we call the Conference League. That is the UEFA Conference League, and that puts them into a more deadly situation because they played on Thursday. Arsenal went ahead to obviously play on Tuesday, and Arsenal has rested more days than Crystal Palace. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And for Palace, they're only resting Friday and Saturday. But that does not really guarantee Arsenal that they'll obviously get an easy win from the side of Crystal Palace, because we've seen very many teams that have been playing on Thursday and they've gone ahead to come in through and shock teams that have been playing or that never even played in the due course of the midweek. So, for example, Manchester United, I've seen it beat big teams when they're really playing the UEFA Europa League. You understand? So that's all about the club of Manchester United in there for you. So, the club of Arsenal. Now, will they capitalize onto that? We'll be here waiting to see how things really pan out. But I think that recovery will obviously do Arsenal very well. And it's not good for a team that really has players that are really more superior than you to obviously have more rest than you. Now, let's go to the head-to-head. They've played 51 games in the Premier League, previous meetings. Arsenal has gone ahead to win 31, right? Crystal Palace has won 5, and they've drawn 15 times. It shows you that Arsenal really has an edge into this particular fixture. Last season, on the 23rd of April, Arsenal went ahead to draw with Crystal Palace at the Emirates 2-2. And Crystal Palace was beaten 5-1 by Arsenal, 21st December. We are talking about the season of 2024-2025. So it shows you that last season, when Crystal Palace hosted Arsenal, Arsenal went ahead to beat Crystal Palace by 5-1. When Crystal Palace came at the Emirates, shockingly, having gone ahead to beat them badly at their place, you would think that something good would have gone ahead to happen, that Arsenal will win the game. But from nowhere, Arsenal drew 2-2 with Crystal Palace in that particular fixture. Last season, they played 3 times. Arsenal beat them in the League Cup, that is the Carabao Cup, by 3-2 in there for you. So that's all about Arsenal and how everything really panned out in between them and Crystal Palace. But one will say maybe they drew 2-2 at the Emirates because of the effect of Eberechi, and now Eberechi has crossed sides from the side of Crystal Palace to the side of Arsenal. Yeah, I really understand, and it's really going to be a very huge factor, but you cannot downplay what the side of Crystal Palace has gone ahead to put out on the table all day long. You understand? So we leave it at that, and we jet into the team injuries. For Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus, though he hinted on his return. The other one is Kai Havertz, still out. Noni Madueke is still out. You understand? Those are the injuries that Arsenal are really having that have been confirmed in there for you. But for Gabriel Magalhaes, have I talked about Martin Odegaard? I've talked Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard, and Noni Madueke, right? Those 4 players are really out. But Gabriel Magalhaes never trained with the club yesterday, but a late fitness test awaits for him. The big question is, do you rest him for this game of Crystal Palace, or you include him into your team? That's really another huge question that should be shown to the manager, and it will be a decision for them to make, the manager of Arsenal and the physio team. Because Crystal Palace is the game where you think a boy like Mosquera can come in through and do the needful. If he went ahead to do all what he did in there, when that side was really facing off with Man City, Newcastle, and very many others, Liverpool, I think he can obviously come in through and put in a very huge shift in there for you. So let's go to the side of Crystal Palace. They tell us they are still working without Caleb, who has a back injury, Cheick Doucouré, knee injury, Chadi Reid, he's having a knee injury, and an evening to forget, centre-back Camvot on Thursday saw the new signing play a poor pass, set Lanaka away to the game's only goal before being hooked on the 60-minute mark. And Chris Richards will undoubtedly return to the starting 11 this weekend. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah is going to be facing his former side, and this is the hell-end graduate in there for you. So those are the injuries for Crystal Palace that will see them non-feature in here predominantly. Now let's get into this so-called beautiful game of football. Arsenal once again come into action knowing that when they win, they'll obviously dominate the table. When you look at the Premier League table, Arsenal is having 19 points, Man City is having 16, and Liverpool is having 15, meaning that it's only Man City, if at all they win, that can dislodge the side of Arsenal. And we all know that Man City will be playing, let me see, Man City is playing tomorrow, right? And they're playing at the same time with Arsenal. And for Liverpool, they are playing today. They are playing against Brentford. It's going to be a game at 10 p.m. or 22 hours in there. So that means Arsenal won't really having a lot of pressure. Even if Liverpool wins, Liverpool are going to take them off the table. But all we understand is that the team of Arsenal is really doing the due diligence to see to it that all really goes on well as planned, to see to it that they really get in all those required points in there for you. Now, let's head into the probable starting 11 for the club of Arsenal. The system is 4-3-3, right? The system is 4-3-3. You understand? It being a 4-3-3 system, David Raya, although he really had one howler in there that could have gone to cost Arsenal a goal in that game against Atletico Madrid, he was really saved by the player of Atletico Madrid who never really put that ball on target. You understand? And that was really all well, and they kept a clean sheet. A goalkeeper who has kept a clean sheet 5 times is going to be put in between the stitches for the club of Arsenal as they play against Crystal Palace. Right back, Benjamin White is back. We also have a player known as Julian Timber, but this game is really very serious, as Arsenal is going to be playing in the midweek to play against Brighton in what we call the League Cup. I see the club of Arsenal doing the due diligence and playing Julian Timber into this game. And I think they'll play him like 60 minutes. They bring on Ben White to prepare for his match fitness levels as Arsenal takes on a side known as Brighton in the midweek. That is it. Left back, when Arsenal was playing against Atletico Madrid, Lewis Kelly was obviously dropped. Carafiori was dropped or rested, and Lewis Kelly came in through, and he really played a very good game. But I think it's going to be Ricardo Carafiori starting, as in the midweek, Lewis Kelly will have another nod into that particular fixture against Brighton, because the manager is trying to bring him in slowly by slowly to see to it that they put in a very huge shift all together in there for you. So that's all about a side known as Arsenal. Now, on the right side of the central defense, it's obviously none other than William Saliba. He's going to be a constant in there because for him, he's not anywhere doubted to feature predominantly into this London derby. But on the left side of the central defense, Arsenal really has a problem. Gabriel Magalhaes is a doubt. And I've seen some people say that maybe it's a Piero Hincapié time to come and really represent and see how we can obviously feature predominantly. But I think he might get minutes in this game of football. But for me, I play Mosquera, as Mosquera has already gone ahead to test the Premier League and is really proven. You know, he played in the game of Liverpool when Saliba was injured. He came in through and played at the Emirates in some good games, you know. As we head into the international break, he played against City, you understand? He played against Newcastle. So, the lad is that solid and good. So, they have, if I'm Arsenal, all I do is simple. Get in this guy, known as Mosquera, to partner William Saliba. And he has already partnered William Saliba in the League Cup. You understand? He has already partnered William Saliba in the League Cup. And no doubt that they'll obviously do the needful and really put in a very huge shift in there altogether. That is all about a side known as Arsenal. And I expect their back five to look like that. But for Mosquera or Saliba, one of those will obviously get in more time, be getting off to see to it that a player known as Paul Hincapié really gets some minutes. And if Arsenal is really doing well and they're really leading or really having a comfortable lead, I anticipate that the manager will take off William Saliba and bring on Hincapié. Because in the midweek, I anticipate that Hincapié will play in that central defense with Mosquera. That is it. So that is really very important to note. Let's go to the CDM. No doubt, Martin Zubimendi has really proven many people wrong, doubters. Arsenal fans were like, you shouldn't let Thomas Partey go, blah, blah, blah. They could speak all sorts of words, but I think right now, you now understand why Arsenal got rid of Thomas Partey and they brought in Martin Zubimendi. If you watch that game of Atletico Madrid, you now know how classy and exceptional Martin Zubimendi is, you know? And people, all journalists who are really not okay with this guy staying at the club of Arsenal, not leaving the club of Arsenal, that is Partey, are like, there are some ingredients, some minerals that are really missing out in the game of Zubimendi. But tell me a season where Arsenal has ever gone ahead to play 8 games and they only conceded 2 goals. You understand? And it's the same back four that David Raya has been playing with. It's the same back four that Thomas Partey has been shielding. And by the way, last season, Arsenal conceded more goals than they conceded in the season of 2023-2024. Thomas Partey played less of the games, and Jorginho and Declan Rice were really shooting that back. But that's an argument for another day. You understand? But Zubimendi is a modern CDM, and that's what Arsenal has always gone ahead to need. Declan Rice with an assist as they took on his side known as Atletico Madrid. He'll obviously come in to play as a box-to-box midfielder to sit with the overpower that midfield of the side of Crystal Palace. And now, the player that was bought from Crystal Palace for £68 million will come in through to play in the CDM, as a central attacking midfielder number 10. That is, what's the name of the guy? Eberechi, right? He'll come in through to force his former bosses at the Emirates. Now, right forward, Bukayo Saka. He really had a live game, but it was really unlucky of him not to obviously grab himself an assist or a goal when they're playing against Atletico Madrid. But I'm sure in here, a lot will happen in his favor and will put in a very huge shift in here. Left forward, I tell you, it's going to be Martinelli scored a goal, but I think Leandro Trossard will come and really start as a left forward. Martinelli will come off the bench. That's how the manager is really playing them. When you start this game, it's like a made-up decision. In the Premier League, Trossard will start if at all he's physically fit, and in the Champions League, it will always be Gabriel Martinelli. You understand? So that's all about Arsenal, and leading the line will be Viktor Gyokeres, man with a brace that will obviously put in a very huge shift in there for you. So your thoughts onto that probable starting 11 for me are welcome in the comment section below. Crystal Palace, Crystal Palace, starting 11, Dean Henderson in goal, Richard, Crooks and McGahey, that is the back three. Remember, they play a system of 3-5-2. Now, Munoz, Watson, Kamada, Michel, and Pino, all those will be playing in the mid-5, with two of those playing as left wing backs, with Michel, one of those, and I think Pino will obviously do the needful as a right wing back. Then Mateta and Ismail Yassar will do the needful and obviously beat or really coming through to represent to the fullest. Now, before I obviously bring you what we call the match prediction, let me bring you the match facts. Arsenal have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League meetings with Crystal Palace, though the exception was a 2-2 draw in this exact fixture last season. I told you that. Crystal Palace have won just 1 of their last 14 away league games against Arsenal, 5 draws, 8 losses, beating them 3-2 in April 2009 under Roy Hodgson. Thirdly, Arsenal have lost 2 of their 70 home Premier League matches when they've started the day on top of the table. Have you heard? Losing to Hull City in September 2008 and Man City in February 2003. 2023, they have won 7 out of 8 day one at the Emirates, when in first place since that loss to Man City, scoring 28 goals in those 8 matches. Lastly, Crystal Palace have drawn 8 of their last 14 Premier League matches. Those are 5 draws and 1 loss, including a 3-3 draw of matchday 8 at home against Bournemouth. Since the start of April, the Eagles have drawn 9 Premier League matches, 3 more than any others. So that's all about what I can tell you about this game. 3-0 win for the club of Arsenal. That comes in through as my prediction. I don't know what your prediction is, but I see an Arsenal win written all over this. Going away, if this game was being played away at Palace, I would have gone to say it would have gone ahead to be hard for them. But at Emirates, Arsenal will find a way of really causing damage and really causing havoc to this side that is highly good and doing great. But them playing in Europe and playing in the Premier League at the same time, I think it will cost them, because they don't have that squad that can stretch to that level. But you have to give kudos to their manager, that is Oliver Glasner, who is really a manager that has tried to use what he has to obviously get Crystal Palace to the levels that they've never been on. I tell you, they are competitive. They're a side that can obviously come in through and really put in a very huge shift in there. I like what the manager has obviously gone ahead to do for them. So Arteta will be hosting Oliver Glasner. Glasner really has a huge experience in this game over Arteta, but Arteta has proven us that minus the experience, he is really giving us the tea and giving us more and more and more that we really anticipate and desire in here onto the Rokani Media Football. That's what I had for you. Your predictions are welcome in the comment section below. Rokan David is the face and the name that you're really looking at in here. We out for now. See you later and good afternoon. We're obviously going to be coming in here with more news and information of other teams. Bye-bye.